Portugal the man. Speaking of, let's dive in to Team Portugal Prime. This team is rocking Scorn, Dusk, Kador's Armored Core, Protectorate of Menoph's Temple Guardians, and featuring a Krik's Dark Host list. Alright, let's jump into it with our Scorn Exalted pairing of Zal and Beastmaster Zakar. Zal is rocking a Agonizer, a Basilisk Kriya, a Mammoth, a Supreme Guardian, uh, Abadan the Keeper, double Ancestral Guardian, Extollar Novitiate, Kar the Destroyer, 4 units of Immortals, and 1 unit of Paingiver Beast Handlers. Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Grave Robbing, Power Swell, and Savagery. Pretty interesting Zal list here. Is skewing the 2 additional units of Immortals and the second Supreme Guardian in favor of the Mammoth. Like this build quite a bit. Gives you a little more flexibility with the Mammoth. The Mammoth output can be pretty substantial in certain matchups. So like that bit here pretty well. This is paired up with Beastmaster Zakar. With Zakar, we have an Agonizer, we have a Basilisk, we have a Mammoth, we have Abaddon the Keeper, double Ancestral Guardian, Adeptus Marketh, Kar the Destroyer, an Immortal Vessel, an Immortal unit with Extollar Advocate. Then we have 3 more units of Immortals, just vanilla. 2 units of Annihilators, unit of Paingiver Beast Handlers, Arcane Forces, Careful Reconnaissance, Grave Robbing Hit and Run, and Power Swell. A little more standard Zakar list. Again, like the Mammoth, there quite a bit. Double Ancestral Guardians, good stuff. And then again, the 4 units Immortal, 2 units Annihilators. The Annihilators just add a bit of spice to the list on the whole. They do quite a bit of work, and they also just provide that little bit of extra soul uh, where and when you need it. In a lot of cases, they can punch quite a bit higher than their weight class would indicate, uh, and tend to be just a real nice inclusion for the little bit of point savings over the uh, extra bit of Immortals, particularly with Zakar. Moving on to Dusk House Callus, we have a Hazaroth sighting and Seraphel as our pair. On the Hazaroth side, we have an Eliodon with Flight, Null Blade, Force Shield, Vortex Cannon. We have a second Eliodon with Flight, Null Blade, Force Shield, and Vortex Cannon. We have Dissus. We have Valus. We have 2 Void Engines. We have double Dreadguard Cavalry, a unit of Dreadguard Slayers, unit of Seeker Adepts, and 2 units of Soulless Guardians, each with Seeker Warden. Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, and Power Swell. So pretty interesting Hazaroth list here. We have 2 value Eidolons, with the Flight Heads, the Null Blades, and the Force Shields, with the Vortex Cannons, which sort of give you old school Hellmouth, the way that they function and operate to package things together. You've got the 2 Void Engines with the 2 units of Guardians. Both of those Guardians have the Seeker Warden, so you can do all of the tricks. You can put up um, an aura of no tough. You can put up no tough, no healing. You can put up stealth. You can get an additional arcane range shot. Uh, you've got the 2 units of Drevcav that do just a ton of work. Hazaroth keeps them upright with his Invocations of Dusk. Again, the biggest knock on Hazaroth is his feat tends to be a little lackluster. That said, you've got the Eidolons set up in a way where 1, they're cheap. 2, they both have the Force Shield, so even if you're getting attacked on them, they're repelling the opponent away every time they are hit, which sets you up to actually get some value out of Hazaroth's feat because they're a little more difficult to one round unless you're specifically setting yourself up not to be affected by repel through either a spell or positioning. So it does make those Eliodons a little harder to crack, does give his feat a little more oomph. Otherwise, the feat is just going to be one focus to each of the jacks. If they aren't harmed or or anything like that. But again, having Hazaroth in a pairing is interesting. I like Hazaroth quite a bit. This is a pretty solid construction for sort of a have your cake and eat it too, where you can get value out of the feat side of him and get value out of Shadowmancer, get some value out of Escort with him, but the bulk of the value is going to be coming from the Invocations of Dusk on the Dreadguard Cav, along with the Soulless Guardians and Void Engines, just doing all of the standard Void Engine nonsense. Then this is paired up with Seraphel. With Seraphel list, we have sort of the more standard build, again, where you've got Israfel, you have a Dreadguard Sire, you have Dissus, you've got a Mage Hunter Commander, you've got Valus, you've got double Void Engine, again, double Dreadguard Cavalry, Seeker Adepts, 3 units of Soulless Guardians, each with a Seeker Warden. Uh, it's a lot of Seeker Warden in the list. I would almost have thought at that point drop the Seekers and add in an additional unit of either Guardians or Blade Masters or even Hunters, just to get full value out of having an additional infantry unit there, particularly with the Sires and the Mage Hunter Commander to give you all of the tricks. But very solid list. Again, the Seraphel does a ton of work into this meta. Again, from a command card standpoint, we have Arcane Forces, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. So this is a little more Guardian heavy variant to the list. And I like the inclusion of the Mage Hunter Commander. Lets you do some fun things with Repo. Uh, you have the Spyglass option. Again, just a good combat solo as well. Valus provides near infinite value because you can park her near the Guardians. She can prevent one of the hits. She can then Grim Returns one of the Guardians back. Just provides you a lot of synergy. She can also, if a Dreadguard Cavalry does go down, she can also Grim Returns one of those back. Again, just having some Grim Returns in a list like this just lets you get such attritional value um, over the course of the game. Again, you've got the Sire to speed things up. This is a nice, highly tech Seraphel list. I like this one quite a bit. Uh, Over to old school Khador with some armor core. We have a pairing of Commandant Urusk and Sorsha Kartakov. Uh, on the Urusk side, we have a Conquest, we have a Marauder, we have a Grey Lord Forge Seer, we have double Mana War Kovniks, we have 2 units or two Mana War Suppressor Tankers, we have a Battle Mechanics, we have a Mana War Bombardiers with Officer, we have a Mana War Demolition Corps with Sergeant Dragos Draganovic. We have a unit of Mana War Shock Troopers with the Mana War Shock Trooper Officer, and then a second unit of Mana War Shock Troopers. Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and Put the Fires Out. So pretty standard Rust build with a Conquest. Uh, You've got the high value single unit of Bombardiers, high value Demolition Corps with single unit. You've got the double shock troopers, only one with officer. Uh, so nothing too out of the realm here. Just good solid arrest build. This is paired up with Sorsha Katakov with double conquest, a marauder, double Grey Lord Forge Seer, Mana War Kovnik, a unit of battle mechanics, Mana War Demolition Crew with Sergeant Dragos Draganovic, 2 units of Mana War Shock Trooper. Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Old Faithful, Power Swell, Put the Fires Out. Again, uh, double Colossus, always interesting. Within the WTC meta, it asks a pretty solid question. Sort of forces you to see if you can take out double Colossus, if you can survive what the list is asking of you. On the other side of it, you've got a Rusk. So Armored Core is pretty interesting inclusion from a list pairing standpoint. It's a nice bit of Just good, solid. Can you chew through enough boxes in enough time and deal with the Colossal from your output standpoint? So it's a good gear check to have from a pairing process standpoint. And speaking of gear checks, we have Protected Men of Temple Guardians. We have a pairing of Amenad Raza and Malekith the Burning Truth. Amenad Raza is sporting a Blood of Martyrs, a Dervish, two uh, Indicators, a Sanctifier, a Vigilant, a Fierce Flameguard hero, double Vassal Mechanics, triple Vassal of Menoth, two Racks, two Choirs of Menoth, 3 units of Temple Flameguard, each with Officer and Standard. Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. Pretty interesting Jack Brick from Amenad Raza. Going to be able to take pretty fantastic advantage of uh, synergy as well as the feat. You've got Malekith the Burning Truth with the Eye of Truth. You have 3 units of Redeemers. You have Nicaea Tear of Vengeance. You have Ferris, uh, Flameguard Hero, Unit of Mechanics, triple Vassals of Menoth, a Rack, a Choir of Menoth. You have a unit of Daughters of the Flame. You have 2 units of Flameguard Cleansers, each with Officer. You have, again, 3 units of Flameguard, each with Officer and Standard. Blessing the Gods, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and Sapper. The Malekith list is very interesting, particularly because of what Eye of Truth offers you into the current meta, which is Holy Light. So while within 5 of this model, friendly models ignore bonuses from spells that add to an enemy's arm or defense. So essentially, he has a 5-inch aura of Blessed, uh, which is pretty interesting into a meta that is so upkeep heavy in an era of Big Pig with Batten. This Eye of Truth gives you a beacon that allows Blessing. You're pairing that up with the 3 Redeemers that are again giving you range 16 blessed uh, Skyhammer shots. So again, you're coming at the opponent with a not insignificant amount of POW 12s that are blessed, backed up by a pretty strong infantry skirt that is going to just try and get as many attacks on you as possible, and that you're going to have to chew through. And again, Malekith is also bringing Ignite. He's bringing Scourge. He has Open Fire to add to the volume of shots that you're putting out, as well as Banishing Ward to help everything along. Again, he's able to set everything on fire with his feet, and you're going to add with an additional damage roll to those suffering fire rolls. So when an enemy model suffers a fire damage roll while in Malekith's control range, you add an additional die to the damage. So he can really build up the the damage volume. The Dark Horse factor is pretty high here. Temple Guardians is not exactly what you think of when you think of Mark IV. So its inclusion is going to be kind of a shock to those that haven't played with it into it in a while. Definitely has some cute things it can do into some pretty common matchups. I think this has some play into Dusk, uh, particularly Pig to Dusk. Anything with a pig is going to be pretty well fair game for this Malekith list. The Amenad Raza list, again, just is good, solid, fundamental Temple Guardian list. But you've got some things that you don't see normally, and while these are sort of maligned armies on the aggregate, I think in a team format, they have an ability to shine. So, like the selection, great to see Temple Guardians on the field for Portugal. Rounding out Portugal is Crix. We have Dark Host with Bane Witch, Agathea, and Denegra. So eschewing the sort of on-meta brand of Scavros for Agathea and Denegra. On the Agathea list side, we have a Death Ripper, we have Erebus, we have 3 Seethers, 2 Stalkers, a Wraith Engine, triple Necrotech, double Bane Rider, and the Widow Shadow Combine. Blessing the Gods, Breakthrough, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. So pretty solid Jack Brick that asks a pretty different question than most of the Dark Host lists that you'll see. So from there, you get some pretty interesting value out of it. The Triple C there is especially interesting with Agathea. On the Negrit side, you have a Death Ripper, Wraith Engine, Banelord Tartarus, Derek Wraith, unit of Hellsinger Phantoms, or Hellsinger Phantom, uh, a unit of Bane Knights with Bane Knight Officer, 2 units of Bane Riders, 3 units of Bane Warriors, each with Officer and Standard. And we have the Widow Shadow Combine, Arcane Forces, Breakthrough, Grave Robbing, Power Swell, and Put the Fires Out. Uh, Pretty interesting Denegra list here, especially with just the single arc node. And then you're taking basically all of the infantry and all of the support with a single Wraith engine. Pretty different Denegra build than we've seen, which I kind of like, honestly. I like just throwing a bunch of infantry on the table with her and saying mortality is going to carry me. Uh, feel like maybe another Death Ripper would be appropriate here, but then some of the support kind of falls out and off the rail. So, in interesting selections by Portugal, pretty interesting team comp, which is great to see. All right, on to Sweden Valhall. On Sweden Valhall, we have a composition of Storm Legion, Exalted, Shadowflame Shard, Morgoth, and Dark Host. Pretty interesting comp here. Love the Exalted pick. The Devourer's Host is pretty interesting. This is some of the first circle that we've seen from a list standpoint. Pretty interesting inclusion. Um, Shadowflame Shard and the Storm Legion are interesting picks. Storm Legion being the least represented of the new Mark IV Prime armies in in the tournament. Shadowflame Shard sort of being in that grouping just under Trollbloods from a player perspective, but having a very respectable amount of 13. Orgoth being tied for second with Wintercore. Um, Again, Orgoth is kind of the usual suspect. Exalted is sort of the usual suspect here from a uh, we sort of expect it as uh, one of the legacy armies that is pretty well suited into this meta. And then the Devourer's Host is kind of an interesting off meta um, pick from a pairing standpoint. So let's get into the list compositions. Storm Legion, we have a Madison Calder sighting and an Anson Wolf pairing. So no Spark Hammer here. Let's get into the lists. Uh, Madison Calder is running double Corsair. Uh, each of the Corsairs are running Shield Guard heads, heavy storm throwers, and voltaic punches. We have single striker with relentless charge, voltaic halberd, and galvanic shield. You've got Kruger Wrath of Blattergast, 2 Legionnaire officers, Tyson Voss. You've got 2 Stormlance Legionnaires, uh, 2 units of storm. Sorry, 3 units of Stormblade. No, sorry, 4 units of Stormblade Legionnaires, each with Legionary Standard Bearer, and a unit of Stormguard um, Legionnaires. So 4 Stormblades, 1 Stormguard Legionnaire. Each of the Stormblade units have the standard. We have defenses of Barrier, Barrier, Barrier. Blessing of the Gods, defenses Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Savagery. So we have a pretty interesting Calder build that's really banking on making the most of Crusader's Call. And you're looking to get as much work out of Crusader's Call as you possibly can. The double storm lances provide quite a bit of the hitting power to the list. You've got a lot of the staying power and the supplemental damage in the 4 units of storm blades, backed up by the halberd to go ahead and give that ionization damage boost to the electro leaps. And you've got Stormguard Legionnaires to provide a little bit of a last line hitting boost with their Jack Hunter capability. Then we have Anson Wolf. On the Anson Wolf side, we have again double Corsair, Shield Guard head, Storm Thrower, Voltaic punches. We see a 3 striker build. Each of the strikers a little bit different. We've got a striker with Relentless Charge, Voltaic Halberd, and Power Fist. We have a second striker with Relentless Charge, Voltaic Halberd, and Galvanic Shield. We have a third striker with Relentless Charge, Electro Bombard, and Power Fist. We have Kruger, Wrath of Blightergast, Double Legion, their officers, unit of Stormguard mechanics, unit of Storm Veins. We have a Stormblade, sorry, 2 units of Stormblade Legionnaires, each with a banner, and then 2 units of Stormguard Legionnaires. We have defenses of Barrier, Powder Keg, and Barrier, Blessing of the Gods, defenses, High Alert, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. So this is one of the more interesting Jack compositions that I've seen in a wolf list. Sort of going the ultra value striker route where you've got one with a halberd and a fist, you've got one with the halberd and the shield. So you get the combination of the ability to throw these spears as well as punch with these spears. And then you've got a single electro bombard. The bombard providing some additional value on the feet, though the halberd does as well. A little more value wise. A tighter knit amount of infantry than I've seen in a lot of the wolf lists. Just kind of going very meat potatoes with the double Stormblade and the double Storm Guard. It's an interesting composition. I like the Storm Veins here. They provide just a little bit of additional utility. You get the bargain basement windstorm aura that that is sadly overcome by having magical ranged attacks. You have uh, their ability to be an arc node, which can be of value. Dependent upon the matchup, they themselves have a little bit of a spray, which can be good. Uh, yeah, it's an interesting bit of kit with this Anson Wolf list, um, along with the Calder pairing. It's a pretty interesting list comp. Uh, this is paired up with Exalted. On the Exalted side, again, we see Beastmaster, Sakaar, and Zal. On the Sakaar side, we have Agonizer, Kreia, Mammoth, Abaddon the Keeper, Adeptus Markef, Carver Ultimus with Warbor MMD 47. We have an Extoller Soul Ward. We have an Immortal Vessel. We have a Paingiver Bloodrunner Tormentor. We have a unit of Immortals with Extoller Advocate. We have 2 additional units of Immortals, just vanilla. We have a Paingiver Beast Handler, and we have a Paingiver Blood Runners. Arcane Forces, Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Grave Robbing, and Hit and Run. Here, I like the inclusion of Carver in the Sakaar list. I think it adds a dimension that Sakaar typically does not have, mainly a significant amount of shooting. On the Zal side of things, we have Zal. We have an Agonizer, double Basilisk Kriya, 2 Taco Supremes, 2 Supreme Guardians. The Abaddon, the Keeper, we have 2 Extoller Initiates. We have Hakar, the Destroyer. We have an Immortal Vessel. We have a unit of Immortals with Extoller Advocate. And then 4 more units of Immortals for a total of 5 with a unit of Pain Giver, Blood Runners, Arcane Forces, Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Grave Robbing, and Put the Fires Out. More of your standard Zal with the double Supreme Guardian and the 5 units of Immortals. It's a lot to chew through. It's very good at, again, as you start to chew through it, making Zal more and more powerful as he gets those precious souls to be able to have just a significant turn um, with spell threat. Um, so again, you get a lot of value out of having Exalted in your pairing. I like both builds here. They are very complementary and give you a lot of options into fields that you can basically have pretty good coin flip in most of your matches, and in a few of the matches, you've got some pretty solid green. There. This is, again, teamed up with Chimera, and here we have a pairing of Rassic and Shyrus. On the Rassic side, we have a Vipex with an Asped, Hunter's Mark, and Cleavers. Double Wyvern. We have Belagul, Master of Pain. We have Riven, the Yonk's Rampant. We have a Wraithwing Paragon, single unit of Incarnate Knights. We have a unit of Talon Death Dealers, 2 units of Talon Lashers, and Wormspine Shadowmancer. We have command cards of Breakthrough, Hit and Run, Infiltration, Power Swell, and Put the Fires Out. A little surprised to not see Blessing in the card pairing here. Again, I think it means that the Shyrus list is going to be the one that is dropped primarily into Biggest Pigus. Couple interesting bits of tech. The Wraithwing Paragon is the only native shield guard that the Chimera has. It's also one of our fastest solos at speed 7 flight. Has hyper aggressive. Blade shield. It has crit decap. So it does some things. The biggest downside it has is it's 5 points. It really feels like a 4-point solo in many ways, and probably should be 4 points just based on sort of where the rest of the solos are in the overall meta. The beast composition here, pretty standard. I think we've established that the Vipex build tends to be Asp, Hunters, Mark, and Cleavers. You get the best combination of value for the 10 points. It still hits relatively hard when you need it to. If you need it to as an emergency hitting beast, you have the Asp for situational channeling. You've got the double Wyvern that just do a ton of work for the list. And then you've got Riven to up the overall armor through Mortal Fear, provided your opponent is living. In an era with a ton of Dusk, I am suspect of Riven's value. From an armor standpoint, you do get some significant movement out of Riven. You have the ability to Thresher, which is valuable. Has native magical weapons. You get 2 attacks base. You get a repo. It's not the worst solo in the world by any stretch. Riven makes a fair amount of sense again. And an armor stack. I like the single unit of Incarnate Knights, like the Death Dealers, like the double Lashers. Again, Lashers are our primary infantry. Pretty difficult to argue anything that's here from a list construct standpoint. Like a bunch of it, the only thing that is suspect would be the Paragon, and you can make an argument against Raven, but then it's I guess add a second unit of Incarnate Knights, and you feel pretty good about yourself. But the 2 solos are fine. They give you a little more flexibility from a contesting piece standpoint, which is really where I found a lot of value out of including a Wraithwing. Same with Riven. It just feels bad when you're giving up 5 points to contest an objective. It doesn't feel great when other folks are having 2 or 3 point solos to do a similar job. But you play with the army you have, not the army you want. This is paired up with Shyrus. Again, pretty standard build with a Vipex, or at least in the battle group, a Vipex, Asp, Hunters, Mark, and Cleavers. We've got double Wyvern. We have Belagul. Then we have Magnus the Unstoppable with Invictus. Magnus and Invictus were pretty popular with Shyrus from her inception. She always feels like she wants a separate module that can do some additional damage. Typically, what's been being run has been Carver and MMD 47, the War Pig. Reason being is the War Pig provides some fantastic synergy with its exhaust cloud. Magnus provides a little more sustainable hitting power and infantry clearing, which is something that Shyrus can tend to fall victim to. If there is a lot of bodies on the table, Shyrus can struggle partially, be able to chew through them. Magvictus gives you a little more clearing option. You have the AoEs, you have the Thresher on Invictus himself, and Invictus's overall threat is pretty substantial and significant. This has Riven the Yonk's Rampant in it. You've got double Wraithwing Paragon, a unit of Talon Lashers, and a Wormspine Shadowmancers. Blessing of the Gods, High Alert, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. So this this list is doing a couple of very interesting bits. Number one, going Magnus over Carver is a very interesting choice. Uh, I like that choice quite a bit, and they've done some mitigation around it. Namely, you've included 2 Paragons and High Alert. So you have the capacity to have 3 Shield Guards. They are trying to make sure that Magnus, which is sort of the weakest point in this list, does not give up Invictus for nothing. Um, that is a pretty significant amount. Their single unit of Talon Lashers is questionable. Talon Lashers always a fine working unit. The difficulty is when you just have one, they can be concentrated down fairly easily. Uh, which is why generally you'll see the stalkers with Shyrus again. Shyrus being built around sort of prowl and stealth, and giving that to her battle group. Having beacons in the list, and we've got several. We've got Riven, who does have prowl, but you've got the 2 Paragons that do not have prowl. You've got Magnus and Invictus, both of which do not have prowl. You've got the Lashers again that don't have prowl, and then the rest of the list is stealth or stealth capable, um, through either natively with Riven having prowl, or Belagul being natively stealth, or the Wormspine Shadowmancers being natively stealth. Um, Having some highly shootable targets. Uh, it does give a bit of pause, but it's a very interesting Shyrus list, and I like the inclusion of Magnus. It helps solve some issues that Shyrus can have in a single wound infantry heavy meta. Magnus does better than Pig, and in something like the Seraphel matchup, uh, Magnus goes in under feet a little better and can clear out some of the jams that these infantry blocks are trying to present, particularly when they're taking the Dreadguard Sire, and they're taking those extra units of Guardians or those extra units of Blade Masters. Gives you some clearing power that Shyrus wouldn't have had otherwise. And it clears more reliably those single wound infantry blocks than Big Pig does. So pretty interesting inclusion here. Like that quite a bit. I do see the bulk of the mitigation they're trying to do with the Paragons. The Paragons are just a little expensive for that. Hit and run is a good inclusion, but again, the Paragons also are providing you some um, extra dynamism on your ability to contest, which is something that sometimes Shadowflame Shard can struggle with. So I like the thought. I've had similar myself. It's definitely a point of experimentation I've had, is these double Paragons. Mixed results, but I'm sure that it will work out well for Sweden Valhall. Uh, Rounding the corner on Sweden Valhall, we have the Orgoth Sea Raiders. We have a pairing of Sabrith and Oriax. Pretty interesting that we eschew Harusk in favor of a Sabrith and Oriax pairing. On the Sabrith side, we have a Jackal with Arknode, Mace, and Clawed Fist. We have another Jackal with Arknode, Mace, and Clawed Fist. We have 2 Tyrants, each with Relentless Charge Head, Scything Flail, and Claw. We have a Ravener. We have Carver Ultimus with Warbore MMD 47, single Reaver Commander, Therian Vanek, 2 Volcor Forge Masters, two units of Reaver Skirmishers, each with one with Reaver Standard, one without, and a unit of War Witch Coven. Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Savagery. This is a pretty interesting Sabrith build. You've got your double Arknode Jacks, as is tradition. You've got your double Scything Flail Claw Jacks, as is tradition. You have a Ravener, which brings a new dimension, some additional hitting power, and ability to clear infantry if they give you the Pac-Man. You've got Carver as your big guns that are helping to chew through the heavier targets or the cavalry that this list may struggle with or struggle to reach. Um, You've got Vanek to help keep the important upkeeps off of things with the Hex Blast on a stick, the incremental value with Grim Returns on the skirmishers. Get the skirmishers with their double attack blessed weapons, single banner with them. Again, I've talked about this a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the banner on the skirmishers just because it sort of negates what you're trying to do with the Fog of War Prowl synergy with Sabs, but it's fine. This is paired up with an Oriax list. On the Oriax side, we have a Jackal with Arknode, Mace, and Clawed Fist. We have double Sky Bomber. We have Carver Ultimus, Warboar, MMD 47, double Reaver Commander, Therian Vanek, 2 units of Assault Reavers, 2 units of Reaver Skirmishers, each with Reaver Standards, and a third unit of Reaver Skirmishers, defenses of barrier, 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 blessing the gods, careful reconnaissance, defenses, grave robbing, and hit and run. Uh, this is a very infantry heavy variant of the double bomber pig list, which has been pretty popular amongst Orgoth circles. The caster kind of fluctuates between Oriax and Sabrith depending upon the user. The nice bit with Oriax runs the bombers just a slight bit better because of the way that Starcrossed works. Able to really exploit the Def 13 a bit more than Sabrith can. Um, but Curse of Shadows is not Crippling Grasp. So uh, the Crippling Grasp, also aiding in the hitting, is is something you do have to calculate a bit more on the Oriax match, because Oriax is only lowering the armor and upping the offensive side of the equation, or the damage side of the equation. Couple interesting bits. You've chosen to have the Assault Reavers as the vanilla ones without the standards, uh, which is an interesting choice. You're exploiting prey. You're going to be using those to bump your numbers up, uh, and sort of make you passable, as opposed to having the standards there, having passable numbers, and then using the prey to jack those units up a little bit higher. The trade-off is you've got 2 units of skirmishers that are going to be mat 7. Uh, with their blessed weapons, which is no small feat. Again, dual attack there. Again, all of this is really to try to force as much um, complication when dealing with all of this Death 13 infantry. Single wound. That pig is going to have a harder time clearing. Again, he's not built to clear a bunch of single wound infantry. The value just isn't there comparatively. If he's putting his shots into Axers, Pig feels a lot better than if he's putting his shots into Assault Reavers or Skirmishers. Because again, his gun basically auto kills them provided he hits, and now he's having to boost to hit even when he probably shouldn't be boosting, um, just to make sure that the Fury works out. It it's a good bit of tech into the overall meta. I think the single wound infantry skew here is pretty strong, particularly with Oriax. Again, you're able to get those guys behind barriers. They're going to be Def 17. With Starcrossed, you can get Windstorm with this caster, which is a nice inclusion from time to time. Uh, yeah, there's some interesting bits here on the double bomber side, but the real bits are you've got 5, 10, 15, 20. You've got 25 single wound infantry that the opponent is going to have to deal with on top of a pig and 2 bombers, with Oriax slinging his spells and um, moving the infantry an additional 2 inches to change threat range vectors. Uh, it's an interesting list. And paired with this Sabrith list, it creates some pretty hard choices for the opponents. I like this Orgoth pairing quite a bit. I think it's taking advantage of some bits in the meta, and it's lists like this where the Magnus in the Sabrith list makes a lot more sense, particularly if this is Valhall's read on the meta as a whole. And I think it's a good read. On to the super secret tech. We have Devourer's Host with Wormwood and Ionia. So we have an Ionia spotting at the WTC, which is great. She is one of my favorite caster models in the game from a circle perspective. Uh, Again, very fun paint was doing Ionia the Unseen. So Wormwood Tree of Fate is running, of course, Cassius. He's got a Loki in there. We have a Warp Wolf Stalker. We have a Carver Ultimus with Warbor MMD 47. We have Gallogrove. We have two Tharn Ravager Shamans. We have a Tharn Ravager Whitemane, a Tharn Wolf Rider champion, a unit of Tharn Bloodweavers with a Tharn Bloodweaver Horsespecs. We have two units of Tharn Ravengers with Ravager Chieftains. Defenses of Barrier, Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Defenses, Grave Robbing, and Power Swell. So Cassius Loki combo, very interesting. You're exploiting again Big Pig coming on the scene. I think having Loki available to Wormwood just ups the value quite a bit. Uh, you've got a lot of the Tharn solos uh, rolling this out along with the Bloodweavers and the double Ravengers. Ravengers being the primary workhorse infantry in Devourer's Host, but good to see some wolves on the table for sure. Then we are pairing this with Ionia, with a Gnarlhorn Satyr, a Warpwolf Stalker, three Gallows Groves, a Tharn Blood Shaman, a two Ravager Shamans, a Ravager Whitemane, Wolf Rider Champion, a Tharn Blood Pack, a unit of Tharn Bloodweaver with Bloodweaver Horsespecs. We have two units of Ravengers, each with a Chieftain, and a unit of Tharn Wolf Riders. Uh, Defenses of Barrier. We've got Blessing of the Gods, defenses, Grave Robbing, Savagery, and Sentry Duty. Uh, so a lot of Gallows Groves in this list. We are really trying to make sure that we have good depth and range on the Hunter's Mark with Ionia. And we are going to try and make that infantry work as hard as possible. What is interesting is sort of the very tight battle groups here of the Gnarlhorn and the Warpwolf Stalker. Um, yeah, it's very interesting Devourer's Host list. It's good to see Devourer's Host at WTC. I don't remember if there was much last year. At least having one this year, particularly in a Sweden pairing, um, is pretty exciting to see. And wishing much luck to Team Valhall. Moving on to Netherlands Van Gogh. On the Netherlands side, we have a composition of Shadowflame Shard, Grimkin, Kador's Wintercore, Dark Host, and Dusk. So, and jumping into the Netherlands Chimera lists, we have a pairing of Shyrus and Rassic. On the Shyrus side, we have a Vipex with Asp, Hunter's Mark, and Cleavers, Double Wyvern, Belgul, Master of Pain, Carver Ultimus, Warbor, MMD 47. We've got a unit of Quickfang Stalkers, a second unit of Quickfang Stalkers, a unit of Quickfang Strikers with Quickfang Master, Wormspine, and a unit of Wormspine Shadowmancers, Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, and Power Swell. Really like this Shyrus list, very similar to what I've been playing recently. With her, again, you've got Double Wyvern, you've got the sort of the standard build Asp with the Hunter's Mark and Cleavers with the Asp head. You've got Belagul, who is sort of the first 4 points you spend in these lists. You've got Carver. Carver just does a ton for Shyrus, again with the exhaust fumes, activating the Prowl on the battle group, uh, providing additional damage shots. Uh, let's talk about the Wind Strikers. Wind Strikers are one of my favorite bits of unit tech. They are an exceptional ambushing unit because they're able to come in. They come in, go their 3 inches from the coming in on ambush, and then they threat 8. with a crit Shadowbind gun at Rat 7. They puncture, so they auto point provided they hit. It is more relevant than not. It allows you to clear off single wound infantry very, very well. They're very good into high defense or high armor into high armor single wound infantry. They love seeing shield guard infantry across the field from them, because again they're auto pointing, and they are combo strike. They're dual attack. So they can charge in, hit something with their POW 9, potentially kill it, and then do an 8-inch range puncture shot. They run the Quick Fang Master probably better than any other unit in Chimera, at least of the two that can take it so far, which is the Quick Fang Strikers and the Quick Fang Stalkers. The Strikers, because they're already a ranged unit at heart, uh, benefit the most from having the Master there, because the Master has more space to make his bomb more effective. They can disrupt large pieces like blimps with their crit Shadowbind, because that will prevent the advance. Yeah, I really like the 8-point module of the Quick Fang Wind Strikers and the Quick Fang Master. They also are very good at just sitting on a point uh, or contesting a point, and still providing value because they do have that ranged attack. Because again, those single damage points add up over time. The Shadow Bind can be very relevant when it goes off. Again, you're banking on a crit, but you've got 5 tries at it, so not totally outside the realm of possibility. And again, with Rat 7, uh, you've got some chances there. But yeah, I really like the Shira's composition. I like having the 3 units because again, you've got your 2 units of stalkers, so you've got your bit of extra hitting power, bit of infantry clearing, and then the Windfang Strikers giving you the access to the Quick Fang Master, and just that little bit of range and that little bit of better ambushing potential. I think it shores up some scenarios a little more than what others have been trying. So yeah, I like this list quite a bit. On the Rassic side, we've got a Hydrix with Flame Spitter, Venom Spitter, Horn Piercer, and Spineback. We have another Hydrix with a Diviner Head, double Venom Spitter, and Spineback. We've got a Vipex with Asp Head, Hunter's Mark, and Cleavers, single Wyvern. We have Belagul, Master of Pain. We have double Incarnate Conjurers. We have Incarnate Knights. The unit of Incarnate Knights, we have 2 units of Talon Lashers, Worm Spine Shadowmancers, Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Duck and Cover, Hit and Run, and Power Swell. Some interesting bits of tech in this list. Number 1, we have the 15-point Hydrix. 15-point Hydrix gives you the 14-inch Flame Spitter shot, which is fire-based. You've got the Venom Spitter shot, which is range 12. You've got the Horn Piercer. The Horn Piercer is a crit armor piercing head that can do some significant work into bad boys like the Mastodon, uh, as well as being able to exploit terrain a little bit better than most other war beasts in this faction, not only having the Pathfinder, but because you are corrosion resistant and flame resistant with this configuration. Um, Makes you very mobile, makes you very versatile. You take advantage on the Flame Spitter head minimally of the Draconic Aura that the Wyvern is bringing, and that Rassic can put up as well. On the other Hydrex, you have the Future Sight head with True Sight on that head as well, so you don't care about clouds, you don't care about stealth. You've got double Venom Spitter with the spine back. The double Incarnate Conjurer is a choice. The Incarnate Conjurer does a couple of things that are pretty interesting. Uh, the big one being it can give fire type to all of the weapons, all of the melee and ranged weapons that a model has. And again, within 8 of it, anything that is on fire or it has the continuous fire effect, is going to be -2 to melee attack rolls against their melee attack rolls while it's within 8 of the uh, the Incarnate Conjurer. The Incarnate Conjurer also can just walk or run up to a model, touch its base, and set it on fire. It's just a base rule that it has, which is Flame Tail. They'll give out the continuous fire effect. It has Ashes to Ashes as a spell that it can do, but if it's doing that, it's not giving out Firestarter, which is again model in range. It's melee in range attacks gain continuous fire effect for 1 turn. Uh, the Whip the Flames ability is the one that, while within its control, which is 8, um, models suffering continuous fire are going to be -2 to attack. So you're trying to up your defense a little bit. You're using it. You got the 2 in the list because you're trying to make both of those Carnexes, sorry, the Hydrexes, um, with the Conjurers, uh, all fire typed, so that you're really trying to exploit the damage buff from Draconic Aura, the defense buff from the Conjurer itself, and Draconic Aura. So this is a list that's going to be casting Draconic Aura fairly continually to really get the most value. The Talon Lashers are going to help clean up any infantry. The Incarnate Knights are just really beefy with Rassic, particularly with battle formation. Uh, yeah, it's an interesting list. The Incarnate Conjurers are interesting bits of tech if you can get the fire going and do so in a way that isn't giving up your conjurers and isn't giving up the army, then yeah, I think it gives you some play. The difficulty is in a list like this, the Hydrixes are Def 12 base. The Vipex is Def 14. The Wyvern is Def 12 base. The Knights are Def 11 base, and the Lashers are Def 14 base. So again, you're bumping up their defensive numbers before that excarnation. If you're bringing it, you're only bumping the defense from 12 to 14. While 14 is harder to hit, it is not like you're buffing the majority of this list from 14 to 16, where it really gets spicy. It does give additional value to excarnation. It'd be a real consideration to bring it, provided that the opponent doesn't have a hit buff. If they have a hit buff, maybe worth doing anyway, because they can't get that hit buff theoretically everywhere, unless it's something like Carnage. But again, it's interesting tech. I don't know that it's good because, again, this list is fairly low defense across the board. If this was a higher defensive skew, I'd be more inclined to look at the Double Conjurer as a conception here. But we'll see if it ends up working. Again, Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Duck and Cover, a Hit and Run, and Power Swell as the command cards here. Yeah, it's a very interesting list. This is paired up. We've got our Grimkin with the Heretic and the Wanderer. Great to see a Heretic in the pairing. I'm a pretty big fan of what they're bringing to the table. Again, fights well into Seraphel because he can't be knocked down, and you can't cast spells on him. He's got a Cage Rager, a Kravitz, a Skin and Moans, a Baron Tungluck, a Cask Imp, 2 Grave Ghouls. He's got Isaiah. He's got Cariana Rose, 2 Malady Men, a 4 Horseymans, 2 units of Dreadrots, 2 units of Nayslayers, each with a Warhorse and a Twilight Sisters. We've got Fortune's Path, Grave Robbing, Ill Omens, Labyrinth, Ruin, Sacrifice, and Shroud as our command cards. This is paired up with the Wanderer. We've got Double Kravit, Double Skin and Moan, Cask Imp, Double Grave Ghoul. We have Isaiah. We have a Lady Katarina Rose, 2 Malady Men. We have a 4 Horsey Men, Double Dreadrot, and 2 units of Nayslayers with War Horses and Twilight Sisters. We have Fortune's Path, Grave Robbing, Ill Omens, Labyrinth, Ruin, Sacrifice, and Shroud. So pretty interesting pair here. Some minor differences in the battle group construction between the two. The Wanderer with double skin and moans, pretty spicy for that little bit extra bit of damage with the skin and moan. On the heretic side, again, you've got that Cage Rager to help put his spells out where they need to, particularly Enfeeble. Um, the infantry comp being near identical is also pretty interesting. Uh, I think it goes to show that what is good right now, meta-wise, in Grimkin infantry is pretty ubiquitous. Um, Again, Malady Men are bringing you the Desperate Pace. You've got the Dread Rots for the corpses and uh, the uh, the Weapon Master value. Uh, in the Anti-Tough, you've got the Nayslayers for just the overall hitting power. Uh, and interesting to see, even past the nerfs, we're still getting the two full units of Nayslayers with the Warhorses. In a lot of these cases, the Twilight Sisters are interesting. We are fully invested in uh, getting some value from Grim Returns. I think that's a nod to the fact that guns just kind of happen this edition. Um, you gotta have some plan and some mitigation, and even if that mitigation is a 6.2 model unit, uh, that would really, I think, benefit by becoming two solos. Uh, not taking the Twilight Sisters, but I think physically that unit should be looked at in the way that the Malady Man was, and converted into two solos. I think the value would be far superior there. You can get them where and when you need to, um, more so than what we have today. All right, so over to Winter Core, we have a very unsurprising pairing of uh, Ekaterina Baranova and Valari Savarin. Uh, Valari Savarin. On the Baranova side, we have a Direwolf with Shield Guard, Ice Hammer, and Plow Shield. We have a Mastodon with the Fire Support Head, double heavy cannon, Great Axe and Grinder Fist. We have a single Bison. We have Carver Ultimus with Warbore MMD 47. We have Kruger, Wrath of Blightergast. We have a Volkova. We have two Winter Corps officers. We have a unit of Arcanist. We have two units of Winter Corps snipers with hunting dogs. Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. This is teamed up, of course, with Valaria Savrin. On Savrin's side, we have a Mastodon, Fire Support Head, uh, double heavy cannon shoulders, great axe, and dozer fist this time. Um, we've got a bison, a battle mechanic, a Kruger, Wrath of Blightergast. We have a Volkova. We have three Winter Corps officers. We have two Man of War suppressors. We have a single unit of Winter Corps infantry, this time being a little bit tricksy there with an autocannon and a grenade porter. Winter Corps standard, two units of Winter Corps snipers, each with hunting dog. Blessing of the Gods, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and Sentry Duty. Again, really like the inclusion of the Winter Corps infantry with Savrin. I think they just up the potential of the list and are really great shield guards when you need them to be. The inclusion of the grenade porter is very interesting. The grenade porter gives grenades to the entire unit, so that they could be a little more versatile. And again, having a bunch of weapons that effectively auto hit, even at POW 8, can be pretty spicy. Uh, yeah, so it gives everybody a range 8, AoE 2, POW 12, POW 8 grenade option. Uh, so again, the porter gives the unit some additional flexibility that I like quite a bit. Again, you've got the single autocannon just to add some value shots where you need them. The two unit suppressors really doing a lot of the heavy lifting along with the Mastodon in the list. And then, of course, the sniper units to pick off those high value infantry points, and with the hunting dogs, give you that +2 to hit, which is so critical for making the shooting count. Then rounding out then rounding the corner on the Netherlands Van Gogh, we have Dark Host. In the Dark Host pairing, we have Denegra and Scavrous. On the Denegra side, we have double Death Ripper, Wraith Engine, Banelord Tartarus, Carver Ultimus, Warbore MMD 47. We've got Derek Wraith, double Necrotech, double Bane Rider. Um, double Bane warriors, each with warrior officer and standard, and the Wither Shadow combine. Blessing the gods, careful reconnaissance, duck and cover, grave robbing, and power swell. So kind of more of the standard Denegra build that we've been seeing with Carver Ultimus. Um, really exploiting what that gun is bringing to Crix. Again, not known for its guns. Um, Carver bringing that heavy weapon that they've sort of been missing in a lot of ways. Again, the double Bane Rider uh, really taking advantage of those buffs that were in the January update. This is paired, of course, with Scaverus. Double Death Ripper, Wraith Engine, Banelord Tartarus, Derek Wraith, Double Machine Wraith, Magnus the Unstoppable, and Invictus. A Bane Knight unit with Bane Knight Officer, two Bane Riders, a single Bane Warrior unit with Bane Warrior Officer and Standard, and the Wither Shadow Combined. Uh, Duck and Cover, Grave Robbing, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and True Inspiration. Again, Scaverus and Magnus and Invictus pair incredibly well. Again, anytime you have a telekinesis caster, there is a lot of value in bringing Invictus because he gets there and he clears out a ton of things. He can make some very high value attacks. Uh, he is difficult to remove. The weak spot for him is Magnus is infinitely more killable than than Carver is. And while Magnus can bring some individual work, generally he has to be so far back for the majority of the game that work is not as much as Carver tends to be able to do. But I have had Magnus do some fun things after Invictus is gone. But far more often, if you get too greedy with Magnus, Magnus is shot off the table, and then Invictus is unceremoniously removed. Uh, and again, Invictus not being immune to knockdown is more relevant than it seems, because again, he is vulnerable to slam text, those type of things. That all said, um, Invictus is still a very strong piece on the table, and in an era of additional single wound infantry, in a lot of these lists. He's not a bad meta call because again he's going to perform a little bit better than Pig into that style of meta. So again, interesting inclusion. The Scaverus list is very well constructed. The single unit of Banes is interesting. Love the double Bane Rider call here. Love the Bane Knight call as well. Uh, all right, and then rounding out, finally, uh, Netherlands Van Gogh, we have Duskhouse Callus. And Duskhouse Callus, we have Hazaroth, another Hazaroth sighting, and Helith. Um, I am impressed with the amount of Hazaroth I am seeing at this tournament from Dusk players. Uh, Hazaroth, I think, is an underplayed caster. And this list in particular has me really thinking through Hazaroth as a caster and sort of where there's some potential exploits with him. So in this list, we have Hazaroth, we have an Eidolon with Flight, Dawnblade, and Force Shield with a Vortex Cannon. We have a second Eidolon with Flight, Dawnblade, Force Shield, and Vortex Cannon. We have Israfel, we have Dysus, the Eye of Darkness. We have Kruger. We have Valus, Wrath of Blightergast. We have 2 units of Dreadguard Archer. We have a single Dreadguard Cavalry, unit of Seeker Adepts, and a unit of Soulless Guardians. Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, and Power Swell. So let's talk about this list because it is so different than what we've generally seen. So in this list, we have double Eidolon. We are spending the additional points again for the Dawnblade. The Dawnblade gives you the 2-inch reach. It gives you continuous fire and it gives you POW 18. One of the things that has generally been happening with Eidolons from a House Callus perspective is they are a little pillow fisted comparatively to other jacks. When you go with the Dawn Blade, you get the magic weapon, you get continuous fire, and you get POW 18. And the POW 18 does a couple of things for you. First and foremost, if you are throwing Curse of Shadows on something, you're up to a POW 20 or effective POW 20. If you have Dices Kiss something, now you're at POW 22. If you've got Kiss and Curse on it, uh, you're hitting just a bit better. When you're playing with the Null Blade, you're at POW 17, which is not terrible, but it's not POW 18. 18 is kind of that break point where you feel a little bit better about yourself. Um, and the big bit is the additional inch of reach. So being able to threat, you go up your speed 6 base, you're going to go up to 8 with escort. So you're flying 8, means you're threading 11, 12, 13. Uh, so threading 13 flight with the Eidolon is significant. The Force Shield, again, providing the repel, the Vortex Cannon, uh, being a 10-10, Blast Dam, or AoE 2 with pushing everything 2 inches in on the direct hit just means that you're able to clean up some things a little more efficiently than your opponents are. Um, yeah, I like these. I like the 15-point Eidolon quite a bit. And again, with the shield, your defense, your armor 19 going to 21 with that force shield. It just cleans things up a little bit for you uh, in a couple of different ways. Valus also uh, provides you quite a bit. She's able to repair or to heal friendly warrior models. She's able to return friendly warrior models with Cradle Song. She punishes people if they come too close. And again, Threads of Life. She is able to get some value in the list on Threads of Life on uh, Kruger. She gets the Threads of Life on the Seeker Adepts and on the Guardians. The Guardians is really where she gets the most value there. Again, um, it lets you do fun things like stop one and then Grim Returns a Soulless Guardian. You can also Grim Returns a Dread Archer or a Dread Cav that happens to go down that Hazaroth wasn't able to protect with Invocations of Wrath. There's some great synergies there in this general design. Uh, the Double Archer puts out a ton of work in this style of list. Again, you're looking for Dices to do some Kiss. Uh, Out there, the Eidolons themselves can get Shadowmancer pretty easily from Hazaroth, so that they'll have Scything Touch. So then you're up to Arm 20. Under Kiss, you're 22. If you bring Curse of Shadows, you're up to 24. I mean, you're really starting to hit significant numbers, and so the Pillow-Fisted piece goes away a little bit. He's able to crack armor quite a bit better than the rest of Dusk, thanks to those exploits. Again, this is a very interesting Hazaroth list. I like it foundationally. I think there's some bits here to really think about and appreciate from a Hazaroth side of things. On the Helith side, we've got a Ghast with Arc Node, Blaster Fist, and Battle Shield. We've got Carver Ultimus, Warbore MMD 47. We've got a Dreadguard Sair. We've got Dices. We've got Kruger. We've got a Mage Hunter Commander. We've got Valus. We've got double Void Engine. We've got double Dreadguard Archer. We've got a unit of Soulless Blade Masters, and we have two units of Soulless Guardians. Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, and Power Swell. There's a couple of fun things in this list. Again, we've got Helith with Carver, and Helith's Carver just does so much work because of Helith's feet. We've got a very beefy Arc Node with her with the Battle Shield and the Blaster Fist, taking advantage of her True Sight. We've got the Dreadguard Sair speeding all of the Blade Masters and the Guardians up as need be. We've got the Commander um, giving out repo, uh, even to the Void Engine to make it a little bit more effective gun. Um, we've got Valus there to go ahead and hand or to go ahead, help protect one of the Soulless Guardians or the commander or Kruger, help them stay upright a little bit longer, do some healing as need be, as well as Grim Returnings, anything that may have fallen off the wagon, uh, just providing immense value. And then if she ends up dying, you get that really great um, super solo where she comes back as a very angry ghost. And again, Blessing the Gods, Breakthrough, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, and Power Swell as the command cards. Really interesting pairing here. I love Helith. I think Helith is one of the strongest dust casters, particularly for that feat. This list exploits a lot of what she does very well. And then you're pairing it off with a Hazaroth list that's very thoughtfully constructed, that I think has a lot of potential as a basis for sort of Hazaroth moving forward. Again, the key is sort of being those Force Shield Eidolons, uh, and then a combination of archers and cav, um, really supported with Valus, from a Grim Return standpoint, from a healing standpoint. Again, making it even more difficult to take out these value units that are doing a lot of the work with invocations of between invocations of wrath, and all of Valus's effects. You've got Kruger that you're going to trade out for a unit. Um, and then the Soulless Guardians also helping to keep everything clean, and then being given additional value and life from Valus herself. The only thing that you don't have in this list is a Void Engine, um, just to get some additional value from the Guardians, but I don't think it's necessary. It's just a very solid list on the whole. And that rounds out our Netherlands Van Gogh. Onward to Sweden Utgard. And on Utgard, we have a Secret Dominion. We have Dusk House Callus. We have double Brine Blood Marauders and Infernals. So Secret Dominion making their debut in the WTC for this year. We have Kruger the Stormlord. So no longer the the vassal of Blightergast. This is before that. This is when he was still the Stormlord. And then we have Bradergast, Thorol the Rune Carver. Uh, on the Kruger side, we have Megalith, a Wold Warden, a Wold Weird, a Celestial Fulcrum, two Blackclad Stone Shapers, two Blackclad Wayfarers, Carver Ultimus, Warbore MMD 47. We have Chuck Dogwood, we have Sentry Stones and Mannequin, 2 units of Shifting Stones, and a Storm Ward and World Stalker. Blessing the Gods, Breakthrough, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Sentry Duty are our cards. So pretty interesting Kruger list here with Carver in the mix. We've got a Chuck Dogwood sighting. We have the Celestial Fulcrum, doing all of the Celestial Fulcrum things, Wold Warden, and of course Megalith, providing all the value to Kruger. Then we go over to our Bradagast list. We've got, tell me if you've heard this before, 4 World Guardians, 3 World Rights, uh, 4 Blackclad Stone Shapers, 2 Blackclad Wayfarers, a Kruger the Stormseer, uh, with a World Weird, a Storm, sorry, Sentry Stones and Mannequins, and 2 units of Shifting Stones. Blessing of the Gods, Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Hit and Run, Sapper, and Savagery. So pretty interesting Bradagast list here again with the 4 World Guardians and the 3 World Rights, all of the Stone Shapers ever produced, and 2 Wayfarers. Again, you've got young Kruger uh, playing with a Wold Weird, and you've got Sentry Stones and Mannequins with 2 units of Shifting Stones. So pretty interesting bits from Secret Dominion. Uh, Again, Circle still clinging to life in this edition, trying to make itself as relevant as possible. Secret Dominion was more popular last year, has fallen off quite a bit this year for a couple of reasons, but it's great to see them back for WTC, at least in one instance. here thus far. And of course, this with Sweden Utgard, we have Dusk House Callus with a pairing of Moraine and Seraphel. A little more of your traditional pairing, more popular pairing. Um, this WTC, although I think all of the Dusk Casters are great, I do know Seraphel tends to be the one that we think of the most because it has the most controlling feat in the game currently, and that provides a ton of value. Speaking of value town, let's talk about this Moraine list. Uh, with this Moraine, we have a Ghast, we have an Arc Node, we have a Heavy Blade Fist, and a Light Blade Fist. We have Carver Ultimus, we have a Warboar MMD 47, we have Dissus, the Eye of Darkness, we have Kruger, Wrath of Blighterghast, we have a Mage Hunter Commander, we have two Mage Hunter Sniper teams, we have Valus, we have a Dreadguard Cavalry, we have two units of Mage Hunter Assassins, two units of Mage Hunter Rangers, and two units of Soulless Guardians. Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Power Swell, Put the Fires Out. This is a very fun Moraine list. Again, we've got Moraine with Carver. We've got Kruger there, so all of the high value solos. We've got Valus. We've got the two sniper teams to go ahead provide great great shooting and removal of problematic upkeeps and can dictate the flow pretty well. In these matchups, I love the double assassins in this list. The two major hunter assassins with Moraine just provide a ton of value. As they get there, they become incorporeal. As they make contact and start doing their work, you've got the Rangers to really be problematic into the single wound infantry that we're seeing, and the double soulless Guardians just to make sure that everything is protected from a shield guard standpoint. Um, it tons of value in this Moraine list. Going to be very difficult to chew through. Um, Again, a lot of high value single wound infantry. So this is one of those lists where you're glad you've taken your anti infantry tech, whatever that tech may have been. And then on the Seraphel side, we have Israfel, we have a Spectre, we have Dissus, we have Kruger, we have two Mage Hunter Sniper teams, we have Valus, we have a single Void Engine, double Dreadguard Cavalry, single unit of Mage Hunter Assassins, single unit of Seeker Adepts, and two units of Soulless Guardians. Defenses of Barrier, 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 Arcane Forces, defenses Old Faithful, Power Swell, and Put the Fires Out. Uh, Interesting inclusion here with the Old Faithful. I think it's an admission that it is not always possible to one round a Spectre or an Israfel, and having the ability to make sure that those come back online is a pretty high value and pretty high use of a card. Um, One of the points that I like here quite a bit is I like Assassins with Seraphel. I like Assassins generally. But I think that they really provide a dimension to Dusk that has been missing until their inclusion. They're a very good ambush unit. They, again, with their 3-inch reach, they really can just be highly efficient in what they're doing. The base defense 14, their prowl, they have blessed weapons, their POW 10, auto decap, and blood shadow. So again, if they're able to kill a living or undead model, they're going to gain incorporeal for the round. If they exceed armor, it's doubled. Their POW 10, their chain weapons, they ignore shields. Uh, just just a super high value, high impact, um, 6 points on the table. Really, really like the inclusion there. Again, the double soulless guardians. I think the one void engine is correct. You don't have a high concentration with just the 12 guardians, but you have enough of a concentration where the void engine makes some sense. The Spectre is interesting. The Spectre is one of those pieces that can be exceedingly good. When it's exceedingly good, it's very, very good. And in matchups where it is less problematic, it's still going to devote a significantly larger amount of resources than one would think to remove it. So I think it's a worthy inclusion, particularly in Seraphel, where everything just takes so much time um, from an opponent's side in terms of how you're going to unpack the puzzle. because her feat just controls the board so well because of what it does and what it exploits. Uh, from a game standpoint, it's just a beating. It is just such a beating to play against, and you have to have a plan for it. And it makes the pairing process very problematic. Uh, Also on Utgard, we have our first uh, of two Brian Blood Marauder players. In this pairing, we have Captain Firequill and Broughton Ragemonger. On the Captain Firequill side, we have a Deepborn Dire Troll with Cantankerous Head, Minnow Fin. We have an Anchor and a Squid Blaster. We have a second Deepborn Dire Troll with Cantankerous Head, Minnow, Hammerhead, and Squid Blaster. We have four Reef Trolls, each with Gunner Head, Al Tankards, Ship's Gun, and Chain Shot Explosives. So just getting all the firepower on the table possible. We have three Fire Guardians. We have Madame Moriarty. We have three Pig Dirges for spotters. We have a unit of Pig Boarding Party and 2 units of Pig Galley Crew. Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, and Sentry Duty. Um, it's a big old beast brick that is going to be shooting a ton. Firequill is taking full advantage of what Firequill does well. It's very obviously a hyper skew to try to force you into the Ragemonger drop on the other side. On that other side with Ragemonger, we have a Deepborn Dire Troll with Cantankerous Head, Spearback, Hammerhead, and Cirque Skull Gauntlet. We have a Great Old One sighting. Someone is playing Great Old One. It is amazing. We have Flogger playing Great Old One. Um, Great Old One is worthy of taking a look at, mostly because I have never seen one on the table. Um, Now, granted, I don't have a lot of Brian Bud players near me, but I know that there is a lot of debate around this particular unit. So let's talk about the Great Old One. Great Old One has Carapace, so he is arm 24 against range attack rolls. In a meta with a lot of pigs, that seems fairly relevant. Has a movable object, so it cannot be knocked down, cannot be placed, cannot be moved, slammed, or thrown. So again, in a meta with Serafel, very relevant because you can't be moved and you can't be knocked down. Has regeneration, so again, you can be forced to fix yourself. You've got snacking. Has a spray with crit blind. Um, has a crit amputation. Great Claw is mat 8. Uh, it is range 1. It is again speed 5, so same speed as a normal troll. And does have a fairly interesting animus, which is while it's in base to base with a model, if it has its animus up, the enemy model suffers -2 defense and cannot advance. And again, Crawling Chaos lasts for a round. But again, mostly what you're bringing it for is the Carapace to be arm 24 natively before any spells against ranged attack, and again, the immovable object. So it's a cute bit of tech into Dusk. It's a cute bit of tech into the all of the pigs on the table. So yeah, it's an interesting meta call. The concerns I have is the 18 points is only buying you range 1 attacks and one continuous corrosion spray. That's a spray 8 with crit blind. So he's fairly expensive for what he does, but the combo of Carapace and a movable object may be something you can leverage in some of these matchups that would be more problematic for others, primarily Serafel, uh, and primarily all of these pigs that are on the table. We've got a little Reef Troll with Matey, Al Tankard, Harpoon, and Boarding Axe. Double Virager, so taking 2 of the Viragers. Very interesting call here. We've got double Fire Guardians. We have a Madame Moriarty. We have Magabazwa. We have 2 Marauder Crew, each with a Quartermaster and a unit of Pig Boarding Party. arcane forces, blessing the gods, breakthrough, careful reconnaissance, and savagery. The double Vrager with Ragemonger is quite an interesting call. Um, Having a lot of that impervious flesh on the board, you're getting a lot of value out of the paralyzing gaze. You're going to use that vault and pull in, drag on the flame tongue to try to do quite a bit and really make that Great Old One's day a lot easier to get value. Again, with those double Vrogers, you've got the Quartermasters to do that spot removal as need be with those 2 units. Yeah, Rage Cage is doing some interesting things here um, with this construction of Ragemonger. Uh, yeah, this is pretty interesting as far as Brine Blood lists go. And again, you're trying to clear out anything that this list doesn't want to see with this Fire Quill being as heavily loaded as it is. Again, in our second portion of Sweden Utgard, we have another helping of Brine Blood Marauders. This time we've got an Admiral Boomhowler and Captain Shadowtongue pairing. On the Boomhowler side, we have a Deepborn Dire Troll with Deep Dweller, Minnow, Anchor, and Shark Skull Gauntlet. We have a Vroger. We have 2 Booty Bosses. We have 2 Fire Guardians. We have a Madame Moriarty. We have a Pig Battle Brig, a Pig Dirge. We have 2 units of Marauder Crew, each with a Bosun, 2 units of Marauder Crew, each with a Quartermaster, a unit of Boarding Party with Pig Coxswain, and a unit of Pig Boarding Party. Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Careful Reconnaissance, Infiltration, and Put the Fires Out. So this Boomy list is pretty interesting. Um, Again, fairly compact battle group. The Anchor is an interesting choice. I am not the biggest fan of the Anchor because I think the reach is more important over the beatback and over the extra POW. As again, if you just can't get there, it's not worth it. You've got the Frogger to kind of mitigate some of that with the drag. You got the Battle Brig to provide the Battle Brig value. You've got the Dirge to make the Brig hit a little bit harder and just be value solo on its own. You've got my favorite design of Marauder Crew where you've got the double Bosun and the double Quartermaster. I think that this gives you the value in either of the situations where Marauder crews sort of find themselves, where it's you've got the bosun unit to kind of screen, and then you've got the quartermaster unit to kind of clear out. And then I love the pig boarding party. They're so good just generally, and then the additional defense from Boomhowler's feet uh, just works so well with them. And again, this is comboed up with a Shadowtongue. On Shadowtongue's side, we have a Deepborn Dire Troll with Cantankerous Minnow, Anchor, and Shark Skull Gauntlet. And then we have 2 more Deepborn Dire Trolls, another one with Cantankerous, Minnow, Anchor, and Shark Skull Gauntlet, and a third with a Deep Dweller Head, Minnow, Anchor, and Shark Skull Gauntlet. 2 Booty Bosses, 3 Fire Guardians, Madame Moriarty, Battle Brig, 2 Pig Cannon Crew, 2 Pig Dirges, uh, and then 2 Marauder Crew, each with a Quartermaster, and then a Pig Boarding Party with a Pig Coxswain, Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Sentry Duty. Uh, Again, you've got a nice big battle group. All Anchor, though, uh, not the biggest fan of all Anchor. Again, I think you'd want one of those with reach generally. But again, a lot of this is going to be utilizing the cannons to knock things down, the booty bosses to charge up these infantry, to do very explosive turn. You've got the all of the spells with Shadow Tongue, and can be pretty effective overall. And then rounding out Team Sweden Utgard, we have Infernals, and in the Infernal pairing we have Zadaroth and Omidamos. On the Zadaroth side, we have double Lamenter, we have double Shrieker, double Tormentor. We have Princess
Princess Regina Gravani with a Lamenter. We have a Hermit of Henschhold. We have Lord Reget Devoris. We have Nicaea, a Hound of the Abyss. We have the Wretch. We have Valhall, the Fallen Knight. We have a Cultist Band, 2 units of Dark Sentinels, and Master Preceptor Orin Midwinter. We have Blessing of the Gods, Breakthrough, High Alert, Hit and Run, and Power Swell. So very light-based Zadaroff list that is pretty interesting. As sort of your starting beast group, I like it. It is also interesting to see a Zadaroff list without one of the colossals in it. So that is a little bit of a different take. And then on the Obadamos side, we do have a Guardian of Souls. We have double Tormentor, Eilish Garrity, the Dark Seer. We have Princess Regina Gravani with a Shrieker. We have a Hermit of Henschhold. We have a Lord Reget Devoris. We have Nicaea, Hound of the Abyss. Melancholic, Cultist Band, Double Howler, Blessing of the Gods, High Alert, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Put the Fires Out. So again, I think the Infernals are a great choice to muck up the pairing process. Again, most people don't have a ton of reps into Infernals thus far. Infernals continue to be a very strong selection in this meta. Again, turns out summoning is pretty strong when you're able to bring in a value heavy over time, over 3 turns. That works well. And again, to finalize the comp of Sweden Utgard, we've got Secret Dominion, we've got Dusk House Callus, we have a double dip of Brine Blood Marauders, and we have Infernals. So this is a pretty difficult pairing situation when you're placed into it. You've got to have your Dusk answers, and you need double answers for Brine Bloods. You need an Infernals answer, and then you have to remember what Secret Dominion does. So, not the easiest of jobs to get through. We wish all of the teams here, Portugal Prime, Sweden Valhall, Netherlands Van Gogh, and Sweden Utgard, much luck in the upcoming WTC. We will see you in our next episode.